All right. Well, welcome to the Better Than Me podcast with John Conover. I am so excited today to do something a little bit different, a little bit outside the box. It's not an interview of myself. I'm going to go through a monologue today. And this, I was given this idea because I was listening to what has become maybe a popular YouTube video. It was a Matthew McConaughey talk, and someone asked him, who's your hero? And he said, it's me 10 years from now, and I'm always going to be chasing my hero. And so I thought about that. I was like, all right, if the podcast is called Better Than Me, then I want to maybe give y'all, those of you that are building businesses and you listen to this podcast on a regular basis, maybe give you a blueprint for what does it look like for me to be able to grow a business so that 5 to 10 years from now I can look back and say, at that point I'm better than I was 5, 10 years ago. I can look at all of you, even as you're listening to this now, I could say with confidence, I'm better than I was 10 years ago. And so I want to lay out for you what I believe are some blueprints that I've followed over the years. I've had a lot of great mentors, a lot of help. This was not a solo shot. Okay. This was not just me on my own, going rogue, going on my own, Lone Ranger style. It's not my MO. And I've always relied on mentors. I've relied on peers. I've relied on being in good environments. I've relied on personal development, and I've relied on having a great team. We've hired a great team over the years, and it's led to a lot of the small success we've had up to this point. And I believe that success is starting to grow. But yeah, Matthew McConaughey speech, I think it was for an Oscar. He got me thinking, chasing 10 years from now and better than me. I hope tomorrow's version of me is better than me today. So I just want to give you a brief background. I've been in business now 11 years. It's hard to believe. Snap a finger, time goes by fast. They say time goes by fast when you have kids. I think time goes by fast when you're building a business. I think it's a similar concept. And so 11 years in the financial world, 9 years as a financial advisor, and handling people's retirements, handling people's investments. And I always kind of got this idea that I loved handling the retirement planning for clients. We've had the opportunity to work with a diverse group of clients, and whether we're talking about like the background, the type of work they do, the demographic, even their economic status, it's like we've worked with a lot of different types of people, and I've learned a lot through that process. And but building it from scratch, I don't want to knock on anybody else's grind out there. If maybe you have a different start in my world or a different start in the business world than I've had, but I am going to speak proudly of what we've been able to build from scratch. And I think for those of you that are also trying to do the same thing, maybe this is something that'll resonate with you. I think in our world, the financial world specifically, a lot of guys come into our business and they'll inherit a book of business, right? It's passed down from dad to son. That's great. I actually hope that one day my kids get to have that advantage, right? And I think that's cool. But if you're taking over a business, that's definitely different than building it from scratch. Some people come into our world and they buy a book of business. Someone has 500 clients and they purchase that book of business and they manage those clients and they build it from there. They have a foundational start. And other people, they've paid for leads. They spend a lot of money on leads. Some people come into my world, like the financial world, and I think maybe they view it like a job instead of a business, and they're handed leads and quotas. I certainly didn't want any part of that because I didn't want to be an employee. So building a business, I viewed this as, yes, I would be self-employed. Yes, I would help clients, but I had to graduate at some point. I read a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and I had to graduate my mentality to go from self-employed financial advisor to self-employed financial advisor part-time and full-time entrepreneur building a financial firm. And that meant training and developing advisors. Right now, today, we've got over close to 1,000 clients. Never cold called, never advertised. We've been able to pick up local awards in our area, like Best of Wyomissing for financial institutions. I can promise you that was a team effort. There's things I'm proud of, building it from scratch over a decade. There's things that we've done that are really exciting, but I think we're just getting started. Those 1,000 clients, we've sold over $500 million of life insurance. We're currently managing a portfolio that, it's small now, but it's about 35 million. The goal is to get that up over 100 million in the next few years, and I think we'll do it. Right now, we're averaging about 30 to 50 new life insurance clients a month, and we're averaging about $1 million a month in new investment dollars coming in, from clients. So the pace of our growth is happening, and that's actually led to some leadership development on our team. And I'm really proud of the group we have. We have an individual that's getting ready to open up our second branch about 45 minutes away from where my office is. So we'll have our second branch opened up here pretty soon, and from there we'll open a third and a fourth. And this financial firm, this office, that is now growing into multiple branches. That was kind of always the vision. And so I'm really excited to share with you, where this is going next. And what was the blueprint? I think for a lot of you, it's, do you really know what you want? Long term, I definitely want to have a business that's valued at 8 figures if I sold it. I want a business that produces enough cash flow where, for me, work is optional. I do it because I love it, not because I have to. I think those are all great big goals, but I have a really small short-term goal that I'm pursuing because it's practical. And sometimes these grandiose goals that you would see on a vision board, that they're not, they're sexy enough for social media, but maybe they're not really realistic enough for you to grind hard to get to them. Maybe sometimes the practical goals are the ones that'll get you out of bed in the morning and get you moving. And sometimes the short-term goals are the ones you'll work hardest for, right? I know for me right now, being a dad and having having 2 kids, I think about this all the time. I would love to have the business in a place where during the summer times, when they're not in school, that I'm able to be a full-time dad, part-time business owner, and have the systems in place where the clients are taken care of, the associates are taken care of, building systems where the business runs itself. And I can go be a full-time dad for a summer. And then maybe, go back into the business during the school year and being a little more active and engaged in the business during the school year. And I would like to have that by next summer. I'll be turning 35 next summer. And, to be 34, 35 with some young kids, you don't get this time back. And so I'd like to have the business in a place where it's running itself by next June. So I look at our business, and I'm going to put this in groups of 5s and 4s, these little lists. And I look at the fundamentals of growing my business. And for some of you, this will apply. I mean, almost exactly. Some of you will eat the chicken and leave the bone. You'll pick from this maybe what pertains to you. But this idea of having fundamentals in your business, I was an athlete and I played sports and, playing basketball, playing golf. I played a little bit of college basketball. And then when I got out of college, I just switched to golf because I was a little more lazy. But both sports, they have fundamentals, things that, like, if you break the fundamental, you break the mechanics, you deviate from the basics, right? Your swing starts to fall apart. Your shot starts to fall apart. Same thing in business. If you deviate from the fundamentals of your business, your industry, if you deviate from them, your business can start to fall apart. And so I've taught our team to master these 5 fundamentals. I've taught that marketing is fundamental number 1. You've got to be the CFO before you can be the CEO, right? You got to learn how to market yourself in today's world. It's never been easier. You've got to learn how to present to a client. You got to learn how to talk to a client. You got to learn how to ask questions and present information in a way where the client goes, I get this. And then number 3 is you got to be able to convert business. If you're in the sales world, you got to be able to close the deal, right? But converting the business, right? And then number 4 is I think you've got to have product knowledge or master your craft. I have friends that are in the barbering world. I have friends that are in the car sales world. I have friends that are in real estate. Mastering your product, mastering your craft, mastering your industry. For me, it's studying the stock market, the bond market, the life insurance industry, and studying these different products and services that are being offered to the consumer to make sure that as a financial advisor, I'm doing what's in the best interest of the client. I mean, that's so important in today's world. And then number five is leadership development and duplication, is taking what I know and how I've mastered those fundamentals, then can I replicate it? Can I teach somebody else how to do it, right? And the more times I can teach somebody else how to do it and teach them the leadership skills necessary, the faster the organization starts to grow. And so, marketing, presenting, converting, product knowledge, master your craft, and leadership development. I look at those five things and I want to give myself a grade, and I want to see where am I weak and what do I need to get better at. But when I look at growing a business, a lot of this comes down to your marketing strategy. I think that's where it starts. I don't think it finishes there. I think it starts there. I think a lot of people skip this part because it's the dirty work. I believe that the majority of businesses that go out of business, right? They say 90% of businesses fail in their first 5 years. And if those 5 years don't kill you, the second five probably will. I'm very happy we made it to year 11 and doing just fine. I feel like we dodged a few bullets here and there. Why is it though? Like someone asked me, why do small businesses fail at such an alarming rate? My answer is kind of simple. I just believe that too much time passes between transactions. I believe too much month goes by without enough money coming in, right? So how can you accelerate the pace at which money flows to you? I think if you're in business, you've got to look at your marketing plan as a starting point, and for me, and that's where, like, as far as the fundamentals go in my business today, I look at marketing as my starting point anytime I'm looking to grow the business to another level. Okay. And I believe that marketing is one of those things that, Steve Jobs was an innovator, but he was really a good marketer, right? You look at some of these companies today that are growing, and what have they done so well? They've done really well with marketing. And so in my business, I'm going to spend the remainder of the time today on that first fundamental. And maybe as we were able to do more podcasts and I'm able to invite more guests on, maybe I'll cut in every once in a while and do another one of these. We'll call it a rant. I don't know. We'll just do a rant on, maybe I'll pick another fundamental like closing deals, sales training, right? Maybe I just pick these different fundamentals. And these are things that I'm passionate about. These are things that, over the years, like I've had to master them. And so, but today I wanted to talk about marketing because I think to get our business to a whole nother level, what I've been training on and teaching the associates and what we've been training our advisors to do is become master marketers. And so there's two areas I think you got to focus on. When it comes to lead generation, I believe in something called the 5 to stay alive. And then when it comes to branding, I believe in a 4-point game plan with branding. And branding is not marketing. Branding is what you end up marketing. And so I'll get to that in a second. But the 5 to stay alive for me, and again, this might pertain to you in some way. You might pick from this what pertains to you. That's cool. Like this is just what I've done. It's just my opinion. It's just been my experience. And I just believe that for me, the 5 to stay alive, it started with existing relationships. And then it was referrals. That was number 2. And then it was social media, right? And then it was networking in the community. I just came from a networking event, right? Then number 5 was centers of influence. And when I think of those 5 things, I think of them like wells, right? So maybe you're launching a business today and you could start to picture in your mind digging 5 wells, dig them really deep, get them full of water, right? So that when you're launching this business, the wells are dug, the wells are deep, and you're never that thirsty entrepreneur that everyone tries to avoid, right? You dig your well before you're thirsty. Right? You're always in preparation mode. You're 90 days, 6 months, a year out ahead of your pipeline, and you're building up these wells full of water, and you're constantly just drawing water from them. That's what the lead generation system is supposed to do. And I'll speak briefly on these. For me, existing relationships, you've either got credibility in your network or you don't, right? I don't think I would have the business I have today if I didn't have some level of credibility with people that I have existing relationships with. And if I'm starting there, maybe they're not all becoming clients, but they're all going to know what I'm doing. And at the very least, supporting me, right? Maybe passing the word along. Maybe they come to a grand opening and show support, right? But then from there, referrals, if I'm doing a great job for the existing client and their experience has been good, you don't get to 1,000 clients in a decade without having great word of mouth, right? And so taking good care of our client base has been one of the reasons we've been able to work through a lot of referrals, right? And if you're in a professional business, I think you have to track how many of your clients come through referrals, natural referrals. Hey, my friend told me to give you a call. From there, social media has changed the game. I think when I started in the business in 2012, Instagram was just getting started. It wasn't used a lot for business. Your Gary V's of the world probably saw it coming, but I certainly did not. Facebook was mostly social. And it wasn't until a few years ago, and then the pandemic, I believe, accelerated it and took, what would have taken another 4, 5, 6 years. I think the pandemic did in 6 months, converting people to this online world. And using social media to market and brand yourself has been something that I've had to grow in, still growing in. And I think it's actually one of the weaker areas for me personally, but it's something I'm paying very close attention to. The fourth one of networking, somebody asked me the other day, about marketing. And I said, do you go out and shake hands with people in social and public settings? And do you make it a regular habit to meet people? There's something about the power of association, or this person knows this person vouches for this person's connected to this person. And that kind of having that reputation and that a power of association, this person's cool with this person. I think in today's world that can happen online, but it's way stronger when it's in person. I know the pandemic kind of put us online, but I love the fact that the world's opening back up, and that, for us, like, to get back out there, press the flesh again and just go shake hands and look eyeball to eyeball with somebody. I can get a real vibe from you, eyeball to eyeball, with the eyes are the wind of the soul. And that smile that you have, or the lack thereof, I can tell a lot from a person in the first 2, 3 minutes with them, right? I want to be networking all the time. And number 5 is centers of influence. And, for you, I don't know what that means specifically. I'll tell you, for me, it's business owners, it's people that are very well connected. But business owners, for me, become a gateway to then help employees also manage their assets, right? So if I help a business owner set up their company retirement plan, which we've been blessed to do, then we get to help the employees as well. And so they become an open door to more and more families, right? So centers of influence and business owners was my 5th one. Just to recap, I mean, whether it's existing relationships, referrals, social media, networking, or centers of influence, I think you have to ask yourself, what are your 5? What are your 5? Or have you dug 5 wells? And one of the reasons I think 5 works for me is there are times when the social media well might be starting to run a little drier. Maybe the existing relationships I have aren't yielding the fruit I need them to. Well, thank God I got 3 others, right? And it's kind of like the piston theory. If you think about it, some are up, some are down. And I don't really worry about which ones are yielding more when. It just has seemed that over the years that the more I've dug these wells, it's just worked out. And there's been some times that social media is hot. There's been times where referrals are hot. There's been times I've been so preoccupied opening up a company retirement plan, I don't even really have time for anything else. And that's cool. I love it. The ability to have so much going on, to have so much available because you've taken the time to prepare and dig your wells deep. I think that's so important. The last thing, when it comes to marketing, people think of branding. And I really believe the brand you build is what you end up marketing. But branding is not marketing. It's not a logo, right? I think branding is your client experience, right? On the front end. Did the client have a good experience on the front end? How about the client service? Can you keep the relationship with the client over time? I don't think any business owner is perfect at this. I think even Target has returns, right? So I think what happens is, though, you start to look at the law of large numbers, and you start to ask yourself, am I retaining a high percentage of my clients? Are my clients going from happy clients to raving fans? I think if you start, expanding your vision of what a happy client looks like, you're starting to pay attention to your brand, right? And then you got awareness. Are people even aware you exist? Are they aware of you? Do they, what is their awareness level? Is it in front of them often? They put McDonald's on busy street corners, right? It's about traffic. And then you got technology. Are you leveraging the tools of technology today to grow your brand, enhance your brand? And so I look at branding, client experience, the client service, awareness in the community and the marketplace, and the technology I'm using. I look at growing this brand. And then once I have this thing that's being developed, ongoing, evolving all the time, also now, what am I doing with my 5 to stay alive to market that brand? Right. And I think that's so important for me. That's a distinction in my mind that I've made. And it's allowed me, you say, well, why do you come up with these criteria? Well, for me, it allows me to get a little bit more objective when I'm looking at my business so I can find the weak points, strengthen them up. I can also play to my strengths and figure out what's working well without a lot of effort. And taking something that might be seemingly subjective for you and creating some objectivity to it, it's helped me grow my business, grow my numbers over the years. If I want my business to grow, the fastest way to get it going is to increase the volume of people that are being exposed to my business. For example, if you're a professional that sees 10 clients a week and you wanted to double the amount of clients that you're converting, start with getting to 20 prospects a week, right? With your existing ratios in place, going from 10 to 20 prospects a week will double your numbers. Now, once you've got the volume game picked up, now it's time to look at other fundamentals. You could look at your conversion ratios. You could look at client retention. You could look at your closing, right? You look at presentation, at what does the client see when they walk in, right? You think about a car salesman that what does the client hear from the person selling the car in the first 20 minutes, right? That client presentation. What are they hearing from the professional, right? That attorney that's looking to, pick up more retainer clients, what does that pitch sound like, right? Why do they need your service? So I think paying attention to your other fundamentals is so crucial, but I think at the expense of forgetting or neglecting or putting on the back burner, I believe that marketing in many cases will actually solve a lot of people's problems in business. It will actually give you runway. Once you have marketing up and running, you have runway to figure out how to enhance the rest of your fundamentals, right? Maybe you're closing 2 out of 10 clients and you don't like that, but keep the 10 prospects coming until you can figure out how to get to 3 and 4 and 5, out of 10, and enhancing those ratios. Maybe over a 5-year window, 80% of your clients stay, which is, I think we're way above that. But let's just say over a 5-year window, 80% of your clients stick around. Well, I could try to grow that to 90. Well, what are the things that we could do that would retain more clients, right? Maybe it's hiring more staff. Maybe it's hiring an assistant. Maybe it's hiring a virtual assistant. What are the systems that we can put in place? But all of that distraction, all of that at the expense of not focusing on your marketing, I believe that could actually be one of the top reasons. If I was ranking reasons why businesses don't make it, and why are the percentages so bad that 90% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years? Why are the percentages that high? And truthfully, I believe that it is a volume game. It is a traffic game. It is a marketing game. And it is your ability to understand and learn marketing and just to maybe buy into the fact that you want to be CEO, you want to be owner, and I get it. You want your business card to say CEO, but maybe your daily routine says CFO. Maybe your daily routine is you got to be the marketer. You got to be the one doing the dirty work. I think for me, that's been a separator. And it's given us the runway to then go ahead and work on the rest of our fundamentals. I believe marketing is about positioning yourself in front of your ideal client with a clear and convenient option for them to solve a pressing problem that they have. I'll say it again. I believe marketing is about positioning yourself in front of your ideal client and giving them a clear and convenient solution to a pressing problem that they have. Finding a need and filling a need. The Better Than Me podcast is just all about sharing ideas. I really hope maybe this one gets somebody to see their business different. I really do. That's all I want to do is share my experience, and obviously ongoing for the next 10 to 12 episodes, I want to continue to offer as much content as I can from other inspiring entrepreneurs that have built something from scratch, that are willing to share their ideas with you. If you're an entrepreneur, keep building, keep, like, even on the tough days, just stay on it. Okay. There are bad days in business. Stay on it, right? Sometimes it's your ability to outlast your competition that keeps you going. Sometimes marketing and that whole piece with marketing your business, sometimes that's the most frustrating part of it. Stay on it, right? Anyway, I hope this helps. And please continue to plug in, subscribe to the Better Than Me podcast. Thanks so much for listening today.